So topic number 3 is, what do we do with food? How do we keep it cold if we're camping out with the Wayfarer kit for a long period of time? You can invest a lot of money in very expensive coolers like Yetis, or you can purchase a Dometic or truck fridge that runs off of your 12 volt, but you're dropping $500 or $600 to do that in most cases. And for most of us, we're not living out of the Promaster City or the Promaster Van full-time with our kits, so we don't need something so extreme, but to each his own. I'll just tell you what I did during this week-long trip. I use a Coleman cooler. It's called the Coleman Xtreme. It's a 5-day cooler. It's 70 quarts. It's about 23, 24 inches in length and 17.5 inches high and 17.5 inches deep. And it fits perfectly in the front seat. I'm a solo traveler. My border collie Bella is going to be in the back, so that's not a problem for me to use the front seat, and I'm sharing with you an image of what that looks like. But for me, this worked out perfectly. In fact, it lasted more than 5 days. Your ice is going to diminish no matter what, but most of my ice, I would probably say 60% of the ice, stayed cold. I did line the cooler with Reflectix, which you can just buy a roll of this at Home Depot, so I have this around the sides. And then I placed Reflectix on the top, so that added to insulation. Sometimes people will put Reflectix all over the outside of their cooler and put a heavy blanket or moving blanket over their cooler. Now, I didn't have extremely hot temperatures, so their 5-day claim, I think, is based on 90-degree temperatures on the exterior of the cooler. I keep a rack that has legs on it inside to keep the food above the ice as it melts. And after 6 days, I had probably about an inch of water in the bottom of this cooler from the melting ice. What I did is, see if I can get that out, is I froze 5 of these Crystal Glacier water bottles, because I can use those to drink water throughout the trip. So those 5 I freeze ahead of time. They form the bottom of the cooler. And then I bought 2 bags of ice. These are 10-pound bags. And this is after 8 days. So you can see how much of that 10-pound bag diminished over 8 days inside this cooler. At 6 days, it was about 60% of this, as I mentioned, 6-7 days. So your ice is going to melt, but it kept my food cool for the week that I was out. It did everything that I needed to. And then I stored things in here like you normally would, sodas, but things like this that are paper cartons. If I wanted eggs in the morning, I would keep those up on that rack to keep them away from the melting ice below. So this cooler worked out great for me. I had a smaller collapsible cooler that had a waterproof lining in it that I brought along too, just to see how it did. It didn't do well at all. I might as well have put my food in a paper bag. So this is my recommendation. You can get these for around $45, $50, so that's relatively inexpensive. I lucked out that I got this from Home Depot on a Black Friday sale for $25. And it's worked great for me. So again, it's the Coleman Xtreme 70 quart cooler. I think that means it will hold about 100 cans of soda. One thing I would recommend you look for, I hope you can see this, is make sure you're going to get the one with the handles on it on the sides, because this makes it really easier to move around. Then they recess into the side, and as the picture showed, this just fits perfectly in the front seat for me. 250 pounds can be put on top if you want to use it for a seat around your camp. And then it's got 4 recessed cup holders, which do work really nice as you're going down the road, and you can access the cooler as you're driving to your destination. So those are my top 3 suggestions or recommendations for elimination, for keeping clean and keeping your food refrigerated on the road. And then next, I'm just going to give you my top 10 gear items that I really loved and used on this trip and found helpful to me, and I hope they'll be helpful to you. Thanks.